What is up, my girls? Welcome back to another episode of Call Her Holy. I'm Laura Eldridge, and while Nicoletta is gallivanting around California, we have my good friend John McGee in the house. John, what's up?
Hey, girl. It's really fun to be with you.
Okay, so John led our foundation group, which is a young married group.
Yes.
And that was probably because I hounded him.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So John was one of those leaders at our church, Watermark, who was like so slept on that people like know, if you know John, you respect John and you want to learn from John. But a lot of people don't know John unless you're in a specific sphere. So I was like, I want to introduce John to my girls so that you guys can learn from him. And he's like, what are we going to talk about? And I'm like, listen, I'm just gonna draw out some things.
Let's go.
And you don't have to prepare because I know you got it on lock because I've asked you the questions.
Okay.
I've learned from you. And my husband and I still share things that you've shared with us. So
it's been fun. It's been fun to watch you, girl. I mean, I go from dating to married to mama to this. Pam and I've really enjoyed watching your journey. It's been really fun.
We love y'all so much. Okay, so John is a leader at our church, my previous church. Yep. Wow, so sad. Watermark Community Church, where I was discipled, where Jesus like radically changed my life. Yeah. And John is in charge of multiplying most of the efforts that we do there across the globe. Mm-hmm. And you lead a team called Watermark Resources. Give them a little bit, it's so annoying to do this, but give them a little bit of a resume, if you will.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit different than maybe, probably most of your guests, but what we've done at Watermark is developed several ministries that have worked really, really well for us. And so as they've been effective here, we share them with other churches. So the big two would be Reengage as a marriage ministry that's in hundreds of churches around the country, around the world, and then a recovery ministry called Regen Recovery, which is it's so robust. It's fantastic. If you have a hurt, habit, or hang up, I encourage you to go to that website, find a church that's doing Regen, and show up and begin to work on you. So those are the two big that we share. We've got a church leaders conference. It's been really, really fun this year. I'm about to say this out loud. We're going to do it twice. So in May, we'll do 2 days and 2 days. Last year, we had 3,200 church leaders. It was so fun. We've got podcasts. We have cohorts for young leaders, but basically we just say as practitioners, we're, by the church, for the church. Our 2 lanes are healthy churches and healthy leaders. And so that's what I get to do. Really, really fun.
So good. If you are looking into getting into ministry or just want leadership help, Church Leaders Podcast.
Yep.
We can link it in the show notes. So much good wisdom for you. But we're going to draw some of it out right here in this podcast.
Let's go.
One of my favorite things that you have ever shared. Okay, I'm going to paint a picture for you guys. We went from a bunch of single people following Jesus, my whole group of young, newly married people. We were a bunch of single people following Jesus, showing up at our community groups every week and just like radical, like we're going to confess sin and we're following Jesus and we're serving 500 hours a week. And like just our hearts were just poured out for Jesus. And it was a little intense.
Yep.
The guys specifically. And so I remember
felt like a MMA cage fight more than a small group, but yeah.
You get married and then you step in a community group and you're walking through all these dynamics of like, wait a second, how do we like share with the random guys who are not my husband in the room, and then do I come and tattle on you guys about my wife and how she made me mad? Like, what's the dynamic here? And I remember like something that basically every time we get together with these couples, we'll say something to the effect of how John would be like, you can chill out a little bit. Like, it's just not that big of a deal. There's a specific phrase.
Was it like you guys, I think it was like you guys have too much energy. You have too much energy.
That's 100% what it is. And I'm like, my husband is the one who says it, like, you have too much energy. And so now he'll like remind himself if he's ever starting to get worked, he's like, I have too much energy, or he'll, or we'll walk into like, now we have kids now. So it's like, I don't actually have too much energy and I'm not bothered by half the things that bothered me.
Yes. And that was, because you guys were, you're so amped up, and Pam and I are sitting there, we had 4 kids, we have 4 kids, and we're like, hey, if you knew what was coming, you wouldn't burn it that way. You wouldn't use your calories that way because you're going to need to save it. And the other thing I remember, Laura, was that many of you had dogs. You
Oh my
you weren't
goodness.
first time parents. You were first time dog owners. And watching you guys, yeah, you know, the one couple, I remember that dog, if it flinched, they would get on its case, you know, they had the shock collar and things like that. And I thought that's so different than us. We've got 4 kids. We have a dog now. And as long as he's not, you know, in the street or biting anybody, like we're good, you know, because we didn't have the additional, you know, caloric capacity to ride our dog the way that you guys did. And now a lot of you guys have kids, and it's so funny. Most of them have come back and said, I still remember that phrase. I still remember we were fighting about stuff,
energy,
and you're like, hey, in 5 years, I promise you this won't matter. So as with most things in life, if you play the long game, it tends to sort itself out.
Well, I want to say thank you for that, because I came in as the like we're more like similar.
Yep.
In a lot of those ways, like
Yep.
we're pretty chill. I would say, like driven but chill.
Yeah.
And my husband would not care if I say this. He's the amped up one,
Yep.
you know. And I felt so validated to come into a room and to hear like, you need to calm down. You have too much energy, because I'd be like, listen, it's fine.
It is the glory of a man to overlook an offense. And sometimes you don't have to fight about everything. Sit them down. You need to hear my feelings on this. You can just let some things go. It's okay.
That's Proverbs 29:11.
Small things. Yes.
I love it. Right? Did I?
Yeah, I think it's right.
29? Might be 14.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. We can look it
Check
up.
me on that.
Show
Check me on
notes.
that, guys. It's fine. You guys can look it up yourself and then read a couple other verses while you're at it.
Like that. Yeah.
Okay, so there are so many things that you have like helped our marriage in, and so many marriages, like you basically got to help start this thing called Reengage.
Yep.
Talk to us, like give the people a picture of yours and Pam's marriage from the beginning, and like how you've grown over the past. How long has it been now?
30 years. We're celebrating 30 years.
Congrats. That's huge.
So I can show you the end of the movie, and then if you're interested in the beginning of it, we can, run back. But 30 years, we've raised 4 kids, one who is married by God's grace today. They love each other. They love us. And they love Jesus and the church. And so we just feel like, we have hit the lottery, of life. So it's still early. We're not done yet. Neither are they. But today we're in a really good spot. And one of our stated goals was 7 years before we were empty nest. We wrote down 4 things we wanted to be. 1, we wanted to be helpful to others, faithful to God, willing to take risks, and then best friends when our kids moved out. And so we are. We are best friends, and 3 weeks from now we're going to go to Europe, and we will hike the Mont Blanc Trail, if you know that, for 8 days, and be together. And it will be my happy place. I'm with my wife of 30 years. It's the only place that I want to be if I'm somewhere else. I always just want to be with Pam. So that's where we are. I would say, Laura, golly, I don't know what's helpful. We were always intentional about our marriage. When we've got this metaphor of a flower garden. We saw our first year of marriage, went to Victoria Island and saw this couple with this amazing flower garden. Like you wouldn't believe it if I showed it to you. And they worked so hard at it, and it gave them so much joy. And that became a really good metaphor for us. That was year 1 of our marriage. Hey, how is our garden? Which is to say, how intentional are we being? What are the weeds we need to pull? What type of, just kind of effort do we need to put into it that we're not? And then how do we enjoy it? And so it's looked different at every season. Date nights when we've always wanted to spend time together. Date nights when we had little kids was at the end of our table, because we said we could not afford food and a babysitter, so we had to choose. So we chose food.
Good.
And we would just spend time together. And then things became a little bit more, we had a little bit more margin, and we would spend time together. And then as the kids got older, Laura, just trying to be intentional. One year we did a bunch of dates where we learned things. Where we went, we blew glass, we went sailing, pottery, things like that. Once a month we did that. 1 year, my favorite set of dates, I don't know why this is where my mind went, but we did this, we called it the best of you dates. Did we talk about this at all?
No, wait, tell me that one.
This is my favorite. So we were at a season where we were spending some time together, so we didn't need like a weekly rhythm, but we weren't spending lots of time, like intentional time together. Okay. And so what we would do is we put one night on the calendar, normally like a Thursday or Friday, And that became then the most important meeting of our entire month, right? So you know what it's like to have a podcast recording or have a presentation. You would sleep, you go to bed early the night before. When you showed up, you'd be at your absolute best. You would kind of flush any of the just stuff from the day. Like I am at my this month. This is the most important thing on my meeting. I am at my absolute best. Well, we wanted to give that to each other.
Wow.
And so we would show up. You could bring a gift if you wanted. At 5:00, I'd come home normally at 5, so 5:30. I'd put my phone in Pam's purse, and we would just be at our absolute best with each other for about 5 hours. Sometimes we'd get a hotel and stay together. And I just remember Laura looked like it would be 2 weeks out, and I would be scrolling through my calendar going, oh, I'm only 14 days away. I'm only 13 days away. I'm only 12 days away. So that anticipation. Just intentionality, I think, would mark it. Communicating, resolving conflict, trying to pursue Jesus together. So there's more, but it's been a really, really fun run. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. Finds a good thing.
Favor from the Lord.
I have received favor.
Yeah.
I have received favor.
I love it. You and you're multiplying it, which is so
Yes,
fun. And
we
your
have
wife
kids
is so incredible. You guys would love to hear from her. But one of the my actually first, before I ever knew you, I remember somebody saying like, "Oh, there's this guy on our staff. We were on staff together. There's this guy on our staff who his whole family has gone to all the baseball stadiums across the country, like so much culture." So it's so fun to watch too, how you're following Jesus and you're making waves in the kingdom, but you're not neglecting your family, which a lot of people in ministry end up doing accidentally. But you're also making things fun. You do such a great job at making things fun. And there's this lightheartedness paired with this, I love Jesus seriously, but I don't take life too seriously. And it's so awesome.
Thank you.
So you come with a lot of culture.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, so that baseball thing served us really, really well. The category would be a quest. If you can find a quest that you and your friends, you and your spouse, you and your kids can chase down, it just gives you an excuse to spend time together to make memories and things like that. So we saw a baseball game at every Major League Baseball game stadium, which took us all across the country. Which meant we hiked the Grand Canyon in a day. We hiked Half Dome for our friends in California with our daughter, who was about 10 at the time. We've seen all the major cities. We got our own boat on the Chicago River as the sun was going down. And so we just made it was an excuse to spend time together and see the country. It was just very little about baseball. And so, relationships, you just can't microwave them. You have to have fun. You have to have hardships. We've gotten all of our stuff stolen before. That was a story.
Remember that.
And then, but fun is, as Christians, I think a lot of times we don't talk about fun. It makes us a little bit uncomfortable, like we're supposed to love. And I think actually fun is a subset of love. And the families that we've observed that really, their kids are doing fantastic. They're walking with Jesus. They love each other. Actually, fun is one of the things that marks them, which is crazy. But I'm telling you, it's true. If you'll just kind of reverse engineer those kids who go off to college and walk with Jesus, what are the families they come from? One of the characteristics is they're fun, which meant they probably enjoyed spending time together. And so that was just one of the things that marked us. We said modest home, big adventures, and we're really, really glad we took that path. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to brag on Oakley and Colby for a second because you were there when, we got married and when Oakley was born. Oakley this morning, was so excited to come home. She's like, I'm going to go to work with Mom. She's in the other room.
Let's
on
go.
The playground. I'm going to come home and I have to tell you a secret. So I let her tell me a secret, and she was asking, can we come home and do a themed movie night? So
let's go.
Can we watch Trolls and do cake pops? So Colby has invented, we're not going to just watch movies as a family.
Yeah.
We're just going to make it, and it's something simple, but transforming something ordinary into something that's a kind of a special experience can go a long way with your friends, with your kids if you're in that life stage. And so it's been something that was really cool that Colby just came up with. We're not just going to watch Lion King. We're going to get gummy worms, the healthy kind, because I'm psycho. And we're going to get, some he got some other little trail mix or whatever that's like a themed movie night that Oakley can get excited about. I know that this is a family. This is not us checking out. Like, this is something we're doing as a family.
I love it.
So Trolls is cake pops for whatever reason. I guess they look like a troll. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I'm psychotic. I'm making the cake pops myself because we're doing no refined sugars.
Include her with you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm making them, but sometimes she's like, "You got it." She really does say, like, "You're okay. I'll eat it. I'll lick the bowl."
Well, the difference between good and great in terms of an experience is oftentimes not that much.
Yeah.
Like to press play, download the movie, watch it, stream it. That's not hard. And then also just to make cake pops or buy a candy that goes with it or set up a fort. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
But that level of intentionality, if we're back to the garden, it makes the garden pop in a way that is just different than we just water it. You can water it and have a good garden, but if you have a little more care, just a little bit more, fertilizer, it's different. It's different. Relationships are different. So I love that. I love that, Fran. I love that.
That's really good. For people who, sometimes we'll get people who have gotten married. They've listened to Call Her Holy. Now they're married, and now they're in a place where they're either thriving, saying thank you, or some people are struggling. And I remember one time you said to me, I'm probably going to have a lot of things that you've said to me that I'm like, I still remember that. One of them was we were at your house for our group one night, and, it was talking about the celebration of marriage and everything that goes into the wedding. And you just said, in your John McGee voice, you just kind of yeah, people should really just wait a year and then celebrate it. Let's do a reception after a year and celebrate that you made it a year. Yes. You've done that.
We give these kids who have accomplished exactly zero with their life at this point, all this stuff that they're probably going to take back and get gift cards for. If there was ever a time to celebrate, a wedding is a time to celebrate. Yeah. But I think probably I don't remember exactly the conversation. It was COVID. I probably would change my mind on some of the things we talked about. But just why are we not celebrating? A couple made it a year, a couple made it 2, a couple made it 10 years. Why do we not throw a party for them? And so I know a couple that they on their anniversary they throw a party for their friends who have just supported them, and they just say thanks. Hey, we've made it another year, and by God's grace, and we're just grateful for the role that you played either in the past or currently, that there's, golly, and you probably know. Well, just
I know what you were getting at.
Yeah, and there's this thing about. Weddings are great. You should celebrate them. But there's actually some research. You should look it up. There's an inverse correlation between have you talked about this? Have you talked about this?
Maybe not recently, but how much you spend.
Yes. And then how long your marriage lasts. There's an inverse correlation. The better correlation, this is crazy, is how many people are at your wedding. So if you have a bunch of people at your wedding and you don't spend a lot, what that means is you're the kind of person that has other people who are for your marriage. They're not there for the experience, for the DJ, for the food. They're there because they love you, and they're actually gonna call you to keep your commitment. That's a much better way to start a marriage than taking 4 people, to this island most people can't find on a map and having this incredible, Instagram experience. You want to surround yourself with people who are going to celebrate your marriage every day and call you to your commitment, and if that happens to be at an exotic location, so be it. But there's just something that's off, I think, about the way we think about marriages and about, I think, weddings. But
on that point, though, because we think of people no, I love it. We think about people as a number, honestly, when it comes to weddings.
Yeah.
It can be how much does each head cost?
Yep.
And where do we have to cut? Which means we have to cut people. Was the worst part of our wedding planning. Joke's on me. We got married during COVID and nobody got to be there. But at the same time, 600 people got to be there because we got to live stream it. But I literally, Colby still talks about this, how heartbroken I was when we were kind of poor. We were both ministry, young ministry people, and getting married and scraping, don't come from families with who are here's a wedding. They do everything they can, but so, and I'm I have a 500 person guest list. That just is what it is, and I want all of these people there. Everyone that I've ever met, I want them there because I love them. And it's a great time to get everybody together and celebrate. And Colby still talks about like how devastating it was to me to be like, I have to like scrape names off the list. It's so hard. But I think
Yeah.
sometimes we can sometimes undervalue, like we look at that of like, what's it going to cost us
Yep.
instead of, you know.
Yes. My wife and I I'm not a bragger. I've done some cool stuff. But dude, I've got a phenomenal marriage. I will brag about that.
Do brag on it.
Legit, we've got a great marriage. And so it's not a competition. But I got a great marriage.
Yeah.
And our wedding, Laura, we got married in the afternoon because we couldn't afford dinner. Okay. So it was like 2:00, something like that. So you weren't going to get lunch. You weren't going to get dinner.
Yeah.
And we had a very, very, very simple, ceremony, and took some pictures, and we went down, and here's the whole experience. We had a cake for us. It was Pam's dad's birthday. He had a cake. We had some, you're going to think I'm kidding, but I'm not. We had some nuts, and we had some punch. And I think that was it. And we were there for about an hour. And by God's grace, we've crushed it. And it was special, and it was sacred. It was the beginning of a covenant. But I think we've invested a lot of money on us and a lot of time and energy on us. In the wedding, we didn't obsess about it. And so it's personal. Again, like blow it out. If ever there was time to do it, I think that's it. But you're not, I would hate, how about this? The person who's waiting to get married because they can't have this amazing Instagram moment, I would go, does this person love God? Can you commit to him for the rest of your life? Like, can you serve them and cherish them? Man, if you had nuts and punch, like you can have a wedding. You can have a wedding. Get your friends together, get your pastor together, and you don't even need a venue. Just go in someone's backyard, and it counts, and you can start an amazing journey together. So
that's good.
That's not in the script, but
that's
yeah.
good. That's good. What would you say to the person who is like, we can't get married because of finances? Not just the wedding, but like, hey, we're waiting to either get married or have kids till we're in a financially better spot.
Yeah, I don't know that. God, there's so many variables, but part of that doesn't even make any sense to me because you could both work and knock out the thing together, and you can lower your expenses. So part of me, the math of that doesn't math why you should wait. Now, so I tell you where I would wait is if someone has been completely reckless with, I've never said this, but if someone's been completely reckless financially and they don't have some type of season of being responsible, like forever, then I probably wouldn't marry that person. But it wouldn't have to do with the number as much as the character of the person. And so that's what I would say. I don't, like, you're never going to have enough money. You're never going to have enough time.
Yeah.
And so I've got thoughts on engagements and all that. But I would say go knock it out together. Make that part of your journey. I mean, you go in eyes wide open. You don't get to say, hey, this is our debt number, and then be bitter about it for the next 5 years as you don't take vacations or you don't, eat at the places that your friends eat. You say yes to the person as they are, not a future version of themselves. But say that and get after it, or don't, or just break up.
That's so good.
How about that?
That's so good. Yeah, I love that you mentioned the character piece too.
Yeah.
I remember dating a guy, which you probably, were there for this relationship too. And I don't care how much money you have in the bank.
Yep.
But I remember the conversation we had in our like premarital counseling class that you also have had a hand in called Merge.
Yeah.
I remember the conversation we had, and it was like, okay, your bank account is here. Your rent is more than double that for next month. And I don't care about that. But how you look at me like and lead in that moment tells me who I'm following.
Correct.
And so I remember this moment where he's like, but we're doing great. Like, I'm in a really good spot. And I'm like, okay, something's not computing because you don't have enough money for rent next month. So if you were sober about that and said like, hey, I'm struggling, I'm looking for a different job or whatever, or like, this is where we are, I'd have been like, I'll follow you and I'll join you. I'll partner with you in that. But if there was like almost a, I'm denying reality because it makes me feel better, and I want to feel like I can lead you. And so,
yep, you dodged a bullet there, friend, because that would show up at that moment. It was about finances, but that thinking of, hey, because I feel good vibes only, we feel good, we're good, it'll all work out, that would show up somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it would show up in their, the way they think about providing. They would think about the way that you've got some issue with your kids, and they're just not going to jump on that grenade. They're going to go, it'll kind of work out. That's your job as a parent. And so, that's good. You dodged a bullet. Well done.
It's good.
Well done.
Praise God.
Yes. Colby's glad.
Yeah, Colby is glad, and I'm glad too. So glad. Okay, I wanted you to talk about some of the marriage stuff, because I think it's really, really cool, and you guys do have a thriving marriage, and that's why I hounded you to find you to lead my foundation group, which there's a lesson there in that too. People will ask me all the time, how do you find a mentor? And I'm always like, go and make it as easy as possible for them to say yes to you.
It's good.
Go and insert yourself into their daily life. Don't just kind of like half-heartedly ask and then whatever. But like the people who sometimes get my time, which don't do this because my DMs are out of control, but sometimes people who end up getting my time is people who have like come after me, and I've like seen your name 500 times. And so I'm like, I have to pay attention to you. One of the things that I did with John, you guys weren't like under any kind of like, hey, we're open to leading a group or anything like that. I know you have your hands in 500 things at our church, which is massive. And I just came to you and I was like, John, I want you to lead our foundation group. And you're like, you gave me a list of reasons why you couldn't. And I said,
I don't remember that.
Not necessarily. Okay, you didn't really give me reasons why you couldn't. You gave me reasons why you tried to get yourself out of the job, as in like reasons why you don't want us. Like, hey, you might think.
I told like, you why you don't want this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you were like, hey,
I believe that.
You think that we're, you know what I mean? We have our issues too. You just kind of walked through the list of like.
Buyer beware.
Yeah, exactly. Buyer beware. And I was just like, we want you. I want you and your wife to lead our foundation group. And then I rallied our group and I was like, I want them to lead our foundation group. Are you in or are you out? And so. Yeah.
Can I put a comment here and come back on the whole asking about mentor things? Yes. That's something I'm super passionate about because we're talking about, life and marriage, but also just kind of leadership and things like that. Okay. And one of my greatest mistakes, I've told my kids this, is not asking people for their time that I think could be of help to me. And I just go in, assuming that they were too busy, assuming that they wouldn't be interested. And as I've gotten older, the secret is most people want to help. Most people want to share their knowledge. Most people want to share their mistakes. Now, they don't want to be hounded. They might not want to be called your mentor. Mentor is like, I mean, that's, I don't know. It's like Star Wars stuff, like I'm the Padawan, like that's a lot, but hey, could you be my friend? Could I ask you some questions? Could you give me advice? And you ask, some will say no. It's kind of math. Some will say yes. And then you show up respectfully with questions. And then you take notes, whatever it is that they're sharing with you, and then you take action. So if they say, what, a book that's been really helpful to me, or something you should do, you actually do it, and then you follow back up with them, and you tell them, you thank them for their time, you do the thing that they suggested to you, and then you just ask them, could you get together again? And it's not that complicated. Some will say no, but your life probably will be better if you seek out wise, godly people. And I've learned so much from people. We've got a mutual mentor, Kyle and Lucina Thompson. Mm-hmm. And like, why am I a great husband? Well, in part because of Kyle. Mm-hmm. And we'll get together and Kyle will say things like this. He'll say, he told me, he goes, hey, John, you should never have to ask what Pam wants for her birthday or for Christmas, because if you're listening, you will know the answer and you won't need to ask her, And I'm like, dude, like we're just built different, Kyle, but I listen to my wife more because I spend time with Kyle. He's a busy guy. And I'll text him and I'll say, I'm trying to work through this. I got this question. Could I get together with for a few minutes? And he will always make time. And I follow up and I tell him, I share things I'm learning with him. I read 2 great books. I'm like, Kyle, I'm ordering you these 2 books. If you want to read them, I think you'd, especially, these pages or something like that. So give back. But don't make the same mistake I did when I was young of thinking that people don't want to help or that they would be put off. Some will, but there's some people out there that are the great leaders are asked, they're invited. They don't just raise their hand, and so go to them. So anyway,
on the word hounded, I made a case. I feel like I made a case for you of why you should lead our group. I didn't, you know what I mean? I was like, this is beneficial to you because your downline is Watermark. Guess what? There are 3 couples here who at least have one person on Watermark staff.
Did you have a PowerPoint deck? Did you give me a deck?
Probably.
Come look at this deck.
Probably.
Yeah.
So it was. When I say I hounded you, I wasn't just like, hey, please.
Yes.
I like made my case.
Well, you did, and I don't remember it being as much kind of cat and mouse as
I'm
probably
kind
as
of
you do.
joking.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it really
I think
wasn't.
like we were honored to be asked to spend time.
Yeah.
Most people will be honored.
Yeah.
And then this is so weird. You can
Say
cut
it.
this out if you want. This one, one of my pet peeves on the whole mentoring thing is people who will find the mentors, the old people. Watch out for this. Is one to watch out for. This is the dark side of this whole thing. The people who like collect young leaders, young vibrant leaders with platforms, and they're like, whatever you'd say, hey, spent time with my mentee, and I've got Laura here, tag, Laura, hashtag next gen or things like that. And it's not, and you can pick it up. It's not actually about them helping you. It's fundamentally about them. So that you won't run into that much, but if you do, just run, just crawfish back out of there. Don't go find someone else. You don't want someone who's and this just sounds crazy to say, but they can use you. So don't be paralyzed. Go do that.
That's
Have you ever seen that?
No, 100%.
Yeah,
and
it drives me crazy.
100%. Sometimes too, and sometimes the reason that I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be your mentor is not necessarily about me not wanting to spend time with you. I learn every time I have a coaching call or like hear from one of the holy babes on our messages. I try to answer a lot.
Awesome.
It's because I care about you first and foremost. But second, every time I walk away, I love God more.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I've learned from you guys. I've never gotten off a coaching call and not had been like, I need to share this, something else. Or I've taken notes of things that like people who are calling me for advice have said. I'm like, that is really good. I am writing that down and you don't even know that you said something wise. So I'm like, always, I love that. But part of the reason that I'm like, I can't mentor all of you, nor do you want me to, but because there are people in your spheres at your church who have so much more wisdom, or who are literally intertwined with your daily life, waiting to be asked. And guess what? Some of those people don't think they have anything to offer. That's another thing I've observed about some of the older generations. Yep. You forget and I did this when I was in the throes of young kids. I still am, but especially early on when I went from, being a leader speaking on stages to I'm at home tending to a caring baby. I forgot that I had any gifts. I forgot, you know what I mean? I didn't know my middle name.
You forgot what day it was.
Colby and I looked at each other once and he said how old he was. And I was like, I don't think that's your age. And we both stopped for 5 minutes wondering like literally how old are we? We have no clue.
Universal.
Yeah. We just didn't, it took us 5 minutes to figure it out. But then anyway, so I've realized like sometimes the older generation, God has something in mind for them.
So good.
To like bless them and remind them you actually have a lot to offer, which is part of the reason why I was like, John, I don't want you to prep. I want to draw things out because you're walking around with so much to offer. Yep. And I've benefited from it and I want them to benefit from it.
So can I plus that? You are giving I want to restate and then also just like accentuate what you said that you actually give a gift to someone who's older when you ask them a question because it helps. Here's the thing. They're moving from this idea of fluid intelligence to crystallized intelligence. Fluid intelligence is you pick up concepts really fast. You don't need sleep. You're creative. Crystallized intelligence is that's your wisdom. Okay. Mm. Well, to make that jump to that curve, you need prompts to go back and reflect on those things. Okay. And so what you do if you're younger and you sit with someone respectfully and they're going to miss it. They're not going to be Jesus. They're going to make some mistakes, but you actually give them a gift to help them crystallize their intelligence by asking them something they then have to work through. How would I say this? How would I reflect on that? How would I share the lessons I've learned, what I feel, what I intuitively know it. I've never actually said it. And then as soon as they say it, now they can share it with others. And so in a weird way, you're actually doing them a favor. And that will help kind of get you past the weirdness of asking for time from people. You're actually doing them a favor. So.
That's so good. A lot of actually my content. I'm only saying this because a lot of people here like we have some sort of a relationship. A lot of my content and even like evangelism workshops. We were just talking about this. Evangelism workshops that I've created come from people asking me a question.
Yes.
I'll never forget. Like one of the first things I share for like any evangelism situation, we were sharing the gospel, came from a girl named Lauren Lubke asking me. In Estes Park, she said, okay, she watched me share the gospel and she's like, what did you just do? Yep. Like, how was that so natural? What did you just do? And I looked at her and I said, okay, well, first I connected with her. She, as a human, everyone has something in common. Every single one of us, you will find something. If you ask enough questions, meet them on their level. You're not trying to overpower. If she's sitting down, I'm going to sit down. You're connecting, you're mirroring, finding something in common. Then as the conversation goes, you're uncovering a need. So connect, uncover a need, and then you're telling them how Jesus meets it. If you ask enough questions, you can find, she just told me she was struggling with anxiety. You know what I mean? Just because I asked the questions in a kind way that didn't seem like I was trying to fix her, I uncovered a need, and then I got to share with her how Jesus meets it in an unassuming way that said, you know what, I've actually struggled with that before in my life as well, and it looked different. But here's what I've realized. A lot of the things that we learn in culture were kind of Band-Aids.
Yep.
And the one thing that radically changed how I experienced anxiety was Jesus.
Yep. So
and
good.
He came into my life, and now I don't have a Band-Aid fix. I have a person who cares about me, who walks with me, who loves me. And so like that literally it came from somebody asking me. I was uncover, like connect, uncover, tell them how Jesus.
And you came up with that on the spot there? That's great. Yeah. And you guys are so good at sharing your faith. I can remember, Laura, we'd be somewhere as a group and I'm like, where are Laura and Colby? Where are they? And they were, you're like half a block down. I'm like, they're sharing the gospel. Like, we got places to go, people, That's always marked you. It's really fun. Really fun.
So fun. I love it. We talk about that. Sometimes we'll look at each other and be like, do you miss Whole Foods? Because we're in the season where we're like, keeping up with young kids. And I remember when we were dating, one of the things that drew us to each other is like, we just went to Whole Foods together randomly because we worked at church and it was down the road. And we went there to grab some food. And then all of a sudden we look up and from one conversation to the next, there's an entire circle of people at Whole Foods listening to us preach the gospel. And I don't mean like 2 people, I mean 10 people, employees, customers just stopped. And now we have this circle of people that we're sharing the gospel with at Whole Foods. It was
you guys,
so fun. It was so radical. And we get those stories to like look back on
so fun.
And inspire us to do the same. So it's so fun. But okay, so moving on to some of the leadership stuff.
Okay.
That was another reason that I wanted you to lead our group because I love learning from you as a leader. And I knew it, like, if you come with this, you're going to be married to a wife who comes with a lot that I can learn from as well. And so, and I love Pam so much, but let's just actually start here. What are some mistakes that you see young leaders make? People who want to do ministry, want to excel in the workplace, whatever it is.
Okay. Well, golly, this is not a 5-hour podcast, right? So I think, Laura, what if can I share with you what I'm hearing from older leaders about younger leaders?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Here's some of the things. Number one, I can't get them to care. Okay, so I'm an older leader. I'm working with this younger leader. So I'm thinking in a work context. Okay, and they'll say, "Man, these people have a relentless energy for their Instagram, for their side hustle. They're crocheting bags or whatever." And they talk about that, and they come back on Monday morning with all this kind of energy, and then I just kind of I feel like I get half effort. So one of my kind of admonitions is like, if you're getting a paycheck, like you need to care, you need to bring your best. Another one, is that they want to be the CEO. They want, they want the corner suite and the 2 assistants now. And there is seasons and growth in leadership, and if you open up the scriptures and read about any of the Old Testament characters, Moses, David, Joseph, kind of the big 3. There is a journey, and there is a plan that God has them on. It looks nothing like the plan that they want. None of those people wanted the path that they were on, and yet they submitted to it. And I tell young leaders, like, wherever you are, get an A during this season so that you can then go to the next. And all of us want to be Joseph. And, number 2, we want to be prime minister. And Joseph was in prison. And he was behind bars. And he, metaphorically, he shined them. If you find yourself behind bars, like, you shine them and you make everything better, right? And Pharaoh will find you. He will find you, and as part of that process, and the God is with you. While we're there on Joseph, it says when he was on the rise and when he was in prison, and the Lord was with Joseph. Wow. He wasn't with him. only when he was prime minister. He was there during that whole season. So there's a process. Submit to it, learn from it, thrive. Don't think that your best self is going to show up somewhere else. And then, have some emotional resiliency. And so this is what I'm hearing from young leaders. Hey, when I hold them accountable, they say that feels like abuse. When I have expectations, they say I am controlling. And it's not. That's the way those relationships work. You're paid to do a thing, and you do it, and no one's being mean. And so do it, work hard. Which means if that is where a lot of people are right now, Laura, it's maybe there's never been a better time to distinguish yourself by showing up, by working hard, by being fully engaged. Go to your boss or your pastor. Do the thing that you're supposed to do. Do it really, really well. Communicate. And then ask them, hey, is there anything I can do for you? Are you working on anything that I can help you with? Are you stuck anywhere? Is there anything I can research for you? Is there anybody you're trying to connect with that I could connect you with? And be an amazing teammate, volunteer, worker, and doors will begin to open for you. But a lot of times we're sitting back on our heels waiting for those doors to open, that somehow we're going to show up. And I think the process is really what God, is concerned about. It's not so much the destination. And so those are a few things. We all have sin issues to work through. We've got kind of our character flaws we've got to work through. And I think about, if leadership is like a bridge, the more weight you put on the bridge, the more the cracks will be exposed. And so you need to shore up your cracks, because if you start rolling big giant semis across it and the cracks are big, you're going to hurt a lot of people. As where if you're repairing those cracks and go, no, this is not strong. I couldn't take more weight. I couldn't take more responsibility. That's a gift. You've just been exposed. Deal with it so that then God can give you more in His sovereignty if He wants to. But be faithful. Be faithful where you are. God's people were always just faithful doing things, and He plucked them out from that.
So good.
Right? So yeah, what are your thoughts on some of that?
I love it. 2 Chronicles 16:9 says the eyes of the Lord scan to and fro to find whose hearts are fully His, and those are the ones He strengthens.
Yes.
And I love that you're talking about how Joseph was in prison, and like you said the words, your Pharaoh will find you.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because I think there can be this like strife of like, I've got to get to the next place, and I've got to be the one to take the reins. And you've heard me talk about the difference in activating and like sitting back, and there's a time for both. There's a time when God's like, get up off your lazy rear end. He doesn't speak to us that way, but those are my words.
Yep.
And it's like, take the steps. You know what I mean? That's what wisdom would say. Work hard.
Yes.
There is something to those moments of character where Joseph excelled wherever he was because he did everything with excellence.
Yep.
He made it better, like you said. And then at the height of his leadership, if you will, once he arrived to the place that God told him he would, in a dream early on in his life, he has this moment of character, a choice to make. Will my brothers who have really wronged me, like, do I show them grace and kindness, or do I make them pay?
Yep.
And if the character hadn't been there, who knows how that story would have ended differently for Joseph, and how that would have broken him. And I know you've been in leadership for a really long time.
Yep.
And like how many years? 25 years?
So I've been in full-time ministry for 32 years, I guess.
Incredible.
Goes quick.
I love it so much here. And you've watched young leaders fall. Young leaders make mistakes. Is there anything that happens like that distinguishes people who are still faithful and like finishing the race, and people who have kind of like fallen off and are either, have lost their position due to sin, or who have moved to a place of like, I'm not following Jesus anymore?
Yeah. Well, there's lots. Golly, there's so many there. But one, I've never said it this way, but there's people who want to be faithful, and there's people who want to be famous. And in ministry, you have a lot of people with daddy wounds who are trying to heal those by helping other people.
Yeah.
And the more people they can help, the better they're going to feel about themselves. You're much better off to deal with your daddy wound or your addiction and not try to use other people to do that. So, and then there's some people who are like, no, you know what? Hey, it's all. Even if it was all cost, I'm going to serve Christ. for whatever comes. This side of eternity is so short. I told a friend who just sold his business, he said, I said, in my line, my compensation is deferred. My stock options, I can't touch them until I die,
That's good.
And, but it's a pretty short life.
Yeah.
And so, if I can focus on faithfulness and not trying to rise, not trying to be influential, not trying to be, famous in any way, that would be one. And then, it's pride. Pride always comes before the fall. Always. That's where, if you go back and look where it was a lack of faith for Moses, David, both. There was lack of faith and pride. So you just want to be pushing that pride down. You generally have to push your pride down initially to climb, and then once you get there, you don't have to anymore. Pride is like this beach ball that you just keep pushing down in the water. If you don't push it down, it will pop up. And a lot of guys go, it's just not worth, I don't have to anymore, so I won't. And their pride shows up and they say things, they do things because they think that they're different or the rules don't apply to them. And we read the headline again. And so you just have to believe that, I've got an amazing marriage today. I could wreck it. And I don't for a second think that I couldn't do that. That I don't have that within me. So I run scared. So I think that would be some of them, Laura. But there's lots of ways. There's lots of ways to wreck your life,
That's
though.
good.
Go ahead.
That's so good. The book of James, this concept that you're saying, almost like the higher you are, the lower you should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a concept literally right there in the beginning of James. I think it's actually James 2, where, the one in the higher position should view himself as lowly.
Yes.
And the one
It's
that
an upside down kingdom.
Exactly.
It's an upside down kingdom.
Good.
Can I do your? This is going to be. I'm about to have the best part of this podcast.
Okay.
Ready? And I'm gonna hijack your podcast
because this blanket is burning me. I gotta toss that.
We're talking about leadership. We're talking about young leaders and working hard. Okay. Have you ever shared how you got the money for your very first project? I think. Have you ever shared that here? Have you?
No, I haven't.
All right.
No,
this is going to be good. This will be your clip. I don't know how all this works.
I actually remember calling you too on this Devo.
Yes. So tell me how Laura, because everyone wants to be, Laura and Nicoletta, they want to have, I'm looking at a million cameras in here and lights and all your followers and that's crazy that someone would send you 500 DMs, but everyone wants to be that. They might not want to do the hard work or suffer to get there. So I think this will be really instructive. Laura, how did that money appear for your very first project? Are you comfortable sharing that?
I am comfortable.
Okay,
oh my gosh,
they
know everything. Well, they can't.
They will now.
They will. They can. Here, they don't know this. I donated plasma to get $70.
Yes, you did.
Because I needed the initial funds to print this book that I was going to have people buy. And I ended up getting to do pre-orders, but there was still some money up front that I had to give. And so I asked a couple people hey, will you invest in this project? Here's why I want it. I think this is going to really bless girls. It was that Christmas Devo that I did because, I saw young adults go home during Christmas. Their lives have been radically changed. And then they go back to their house, and then now there's still the 17-year-old self that they've always been, or the 14-year-old girl who's whatever, and their families don't see them as anything different. They perceive that, and so they're struggling to follow Jesus through the holidays. So I wanted to write this Devo and get it out for people going through that. And I literally rolled up and sat in line with a bunch of people who didn't look like me, and I pulled out my arm and let them take my plasma for 70 buckaroonies.
Did it hurt afterwards?
No.
No, there was no hang. I've heard people say, in college I used to give plasma.
I can't remember.
I felt bad.
Can't remember.
I bet it did, actually. I bet you forgot.
Maybe I forgot.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty tough.
So you took that $70?
Took that $70, and I think I needed $100 to get started or something, or maybe a little bit more than that. But we made it work, and we got that Devo out to I think 300 people in the first 24 hours. Yeah. And God used it. So cool.
Was that the very first kind of public type of expression of what you wanted to do?
Outside of our outside body, people had asked me to come speak at their churches and things like that, which again, I didn't know I was a good teacher. I didn't care. Yeah. I was serving in kids ministry here when I learned that I was a good teacher, or that God had gifted me in that way. And it was from people like Kegler, who you're meeting with in a second. And people just being wait a second, you have this gift that we need to, I'm all right, I'll just do the next thing. I don't care.
Yeah.
I've already built a platform and I've already given it up. I'm not
Yeah.
interested in that. Like
Yeah.
I did music for 10 years and that was fun. And God asked me to lay it down.
Yeah.
So I'm just not interested in that. And so I that was the first, like, there's something printed.
Yeah.
You know, there's something written and it's going out to like past my local.
But so I think I remember going like, I think I found out afterwards, but I was like, I would have given you $70, man. You didn't have to go give plasma, you know, just ask me. But it's a, you know, how about this? The reason I wanted you to share that we were talking about leadership is I think a lot of people have an idea that they're waiting to execute on. And sometimes ideas do need an incubation period. They need some time. You don't have to immediately act. A lot of the best contributions came from, you know, things that were percolating for a few years. But Laura, you had something in your heart. You pointed your skis downhill. You took action, and you didn't wait, you know, for all the right circumstances. Like you went out and just kind of and I will use this word. You suffered. And so, if there's something that God has put in your heart, there's probably going to be this time between calling and this time of it, seeing it kind of actualized. And in this middle is going to be hardship and suffering. And everyone wants, you know, the 4-camera setup. They don't want to give plasma. They want the option that they just show up and people listen to them. And then you're going to have your give plasma moment and nobody's listening to me, or it's not successful. I feel like I'm going the wrong way. Joseph felt like, you think about his vision, it literally was going the exact opposite of the way that he had drawn it up, right? That what he thought. And so you're going to have those moments where you feel like, not only am I not making progress, I'm literally going the wrong way. And then you just keep persevering. And if God wants to make you prime minister, he will. If God wants to give you 4 cameras and 500 DMs from somebody, he will give it to you. But he probably will not just find you and say, hey, starting tomorrow, here's your big thing to steward. There's a process, and you had to grow your own heart along the way, and you had to learn how to take criticism, you know, because you probably get more now. It's just the math 100%. Of it, right? And so you got to learn how to handle a little bit of criticism before you get a whole bunch of criticism, handle a little bit of complexity before you handle a lot of complexity. And friends, it's just a progression that's universal, but you're going to have to suffer, and that's why I wanted you to share that story.
Okay, I've looked for this for years in the Bible, and I can't find it, and I could have sworn I read it somewhere, but it's probably some like Chinese proverb that I'm gonna get smited for.
Confucius said, "Okay,
exactly,
great.
Of fire quickly dwindled, quickly fades." And there was something there that has always been like, and I think I may have pulled it from scripture. I may have like read it in a commentary, you know what I mean? And I like to this day, I cannot find it. It's probably somewhere in Ecclesiastes, but not that line. And the point I think was like the whole, like, everyone wants now.
Yep.
Get rich quick, get followers quick, you know what I mean?
Quick relationships,
get married now. Like, I don't want to put like everything is now, and I want my success, and I want it now. And there was something too, like the lottery. Have you heard this about the lottery? Like the stats?
I don't know. Oh yeah, the amplification effect.
Most people who have won the lottery are completely broke.
Yeah, because it amplified whatever was broken about them. It put a multiplier on that. So let's say they were impulsive. Let's say they were an alcoholic. Let's say they were mean. Let's say they had a pornography addiction. Now they just added fuel to that fire, and they weren't able to handle. It's a great example. They weren't able to go from 0 to 10 million.
Yeah.
Because they had cracks in their bridge, or they had things that they had character defects. Sorry, they were amplified. It's called the amplification effect.
Yeah. Okay. Love
so
it.
That they can't handle. Most of us can't go from 0 to 10 million.
Yeah. Wow. So good. I think there's a common theme too with leadership, with marriage, like. We always want the more without understanding that the more comes with greater responsibility, and with greater responsibility there's more required of you, more character required of you, and it's hard, you know. And it is like there is a test. Before we did the whole like Call Her Daddy responses, I looked at Nicoletta and I was like, Nicoletta, we need to really think about this. We need to pray about this because you struggle with body image. She shares about that a lot, and I'm like, and I know that you and I can both take the like, you guys don't love Jesus. Okay, like, all right, moving on, you know? But
That's good. That's good.
can you take when somebody says you're fat and ugly?
Yeah.
Can you take it? Because somebody has commented on a YouTube video and said, like, you're 30, like, you look way older than that. You know what I mean? And that's the only comment that has ever actually hurt me. And I was like,
get a
oh,
job, man. Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang.
Good.
But
Good,
like
Laura.
all the other ones, the way meaner ones, you're like, no. But then, like, where are the ones?
Okay.
So I said, Nicoletta, like, you just need to know, like, if we're going to do this, like, we need to be prepared for people to say that.
Okay. So how do someone says what they said, how do you keep going from there? Or why, what is the mechanism? Someone goes, I'm facing, we'll call it resistance. Okay. I'm getting attacked. I'm getting criticism. I'm getting resistance. How did you push through that? How do you push through that?
Well, one, I wanted to take it as an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say, why did that one hurt? Why did that one hurt differently?
That's good.
Two, is there anything practical in there that needs to change? So then I asked my friends, like, hey, why do I look old in this video? Okay. She's like, you're doing your makeup down and you need to do it up. I'm like, okay, great. Perfect. So there's a practical
I have nothing,
thing.
I have nothing to add so far. Keep going.
I have nothing to add so far. And three, you look at that person and you start praying for them. And you're like, I do not get to hand you the keys. Like, putting this content out for people who are hurting or wanting does not mean that I'm handing you the keys to my inner circle to get to decide who I am, how much I'm worth, or, like, what criticism there actually can be in my life. Because there's a lot, and the people close to me can actually look and say, okay, Laura, you may not look old, but guess what? Here's where you are prideful, and here's where you're headed for a fall. Or here's where you can, whatever. So the list could go on, but there's a small group of people that I hand the keys to where, like, you actually can come in and say X, Y, and Z. And the people outside of that, I'll take it into consideration, but I'm not going to let it, I'm not going to crumble under it. Yeah. So, and then praying for that person, because that's on you. But then going on this journey of, like, okay, God, what is it, like, where it's like the crack in the bridge that you were saying, and you're probably going to share some more wisdom that I probably should have called you. So I want to hear it next. But what I did was like, what about that? And it was like, okay, for me, that one hurt more than others because that's my insecurity of the physical thing. You know what I mean? My body has changed from having kids. Like, I don't have time to do my makeup right now. You know what I mean? Like, and so
take a shower.
Exactly. Exactly. And so it hurt a little bit more because and so I'm like, okay, even if say that everything they said was true, does that change anything about my worth? And going on that journey of, like, uncovering, Lord, who do you say that I am? And why does that hurt me? And where am I putting stock in something that actually you have asked me to put eternal stock in? Good. So it's good.
Can I add a little bit to that?
Tell me everything.
No, I think I love your impulse was not to lash out at people. It was like, hey, is there something here I can learn from? Those kinds of things. One thing I would just say it a little bit different. You ended with, there's only a certain number of people that they can say in some ways unfiltered things to me that I let go. So a lot of times a young leader, you should be asking for feedback. You should be, looking for, anything that can make you better. And so I love just your impulses there. The only thing I would say is that, like, if someone gives you feedback, you don't have to internalize it. You don't have to feel that it's true right away. Okay. So, but I love that you're like, hey, is there something for me to learn here? Those kinds of things. And also, is God just exposing something to me? That's such a pro move. But the only thing I would just add is, Laura, if you said, hey, John, you're not very good at X, and here's why. I don't necessarily immediately believe that that's true. So what I'll do is this is what I'll metaphorically, I will actually imagine this. I'm going to take Laura's feedback. I'm going to hold it off here to the side. Because what I did initially when I was a young person, if Laura said, hey, you're terrible at we're talking about marriage. You're terrible at talking about marriage. I would then internalize it and go, I'm terrible at talking about marriage. Laura's right. What am I doing? Instead, I'll hold it off to the side and go, is that true? And I might ask that group of people that you talked about, hey, is this true? This is the feedback I got. Or is there some part of it that's true? Okay, great. Now I can take that part and I can internalize it. But I would just wreck myself because I gave anybody the ability to speak into my life. Okay, so I would want to say that about feedback. And then I ask you, how do you keep going? And I'm going to paraphrase. You didn't say this, but I think it is in this instance because you love the women that are on the other side of that hurtful DM. Okay. And that's your why. That's your why, Laura. That's why you can keep pushing through. Hey, I don't even know. I don't even understand how any of this works, but views are down or whatever. It's like, I don't care. My why is that I love women. Your why is not to be famous. Your why is not to be well thought of, to grow. You want to help the other person on that. And if you have your why clear, then you can put up with a lot of pain, a lot of suffering in there. And so our why should be to love God and love others, and if we're clear on that and it's not rolling our way, that's okay. That's okay. We have a big enough why to kind of push through those things. Man, I'm going to be with Jesus forever.
That's good.
Forever.
That's good.
And that was hurtful. It's not going fast. Oh man, probably like forever.
Yeah.
Forever. That's a big why. And you're going to have to, whatever it is a young leader's trying to accomplish, they're going to have to have a why that's big enough to help them push through the suffering, the criticism, the slow growth. Otherwise, you'll quit.
One thing that keeps coming up as you're talking, which thank you for that. That's good. You're right. That is why.
Yeah.
I can keep going. It's having a why. And resilience, I think, is so slept on. It really is. It's very slept on.
100%.
And I think there is something too with the online space. There are elements of protection. Like, you don't have to answer every keyboard warrior.
That's right.
But I do engage in a lot of conversation because I don't want to miss if there's something for me to learn. And there's another clip where I'm like, okay, I could see some people's points of like where it was clipped hurt your feelings, but I still stand by it. It's fine. It is truth. Yeah. It is what it is. But I do want to learn something. But filtering feedback, like, is kind of something that I learned early on. Like, filter it, If a boss comes to me and he's like, here's, you're bad at these things. Have you seen those? You know what I mean? Do you have examples?
Yeah.
But then when I end up respecting people more when they come and I'm like, oh my goodness, you're right. Those other things, anyways. So there's so much there that like I've personally learned from, and I'm sure you have too. And I'm so grateful to continue learning from you. But one of the things that keeps coming back is like, one of the first things you said in your like 3 admonitions, and it was about working hard.
Yeah.
It was about the older leader looking at the younger person and getting them to care.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I kept thinking of, why a lot of people probably are sitting here listening thinking, wait, but I don't care, or I can't get to care. Like, I don't know how to get there because I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Is attaching a why to it, attaching purpose to everything that you do. And here's something like, as a leader, if you want to try to get somebody to care, help them see that in refuting those keyboard warriors, you're not just ignoring something and moving on. You're sharing the gospel. You know what I mean? Help them see that pushing papers. Like my admin, for example, she's a great example of this. Mm-hmm. She comes and she serves her heart out and she takes pride in getting here earlier. And I was like, Liz, can you stop for this? And she's like, actually, I can't because I have to get there this time because I'm going to be there before you and set things up. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, you are so incredible. And to her, she's like, my role is just as important as Laura's because I'm attaching purpose to to turning on the lights. I'm attaching purpose to it. I know that it's purposeful. And that doesn't just apply to things that are in ministry. If you're at a 9-to-5 job and you just want to be an influencer, you can attach purpose to where God has you because, one, he's strategic in his timing. And Acts 17:26 says that he has placed everyone where they are in their time and in their circle so that people might seek God. Mm-hmm. 26 and 27. And there's purpose in the things that you're doing. You are bringing, you are a business, for example. You can probably think of better examples of this, but a business who makes packaging for food. You're making packaging that gets food to people. Yep. Like that is important for the flourishing of society. Right. And scriptures, also say, seek the welfare of the city that you're in. Yep. Jeremiah 29. And so you're contributing to society in some way, which honors God.
It's good. You will enjoy life or whatever it is that you're doing more if you can find a why, and your boss may not come and give you a little plaque to put on your, on your stand-up desk and say, this is your why. You might have to find it, And so I've got lots of those stories, Laura. So everyone thinks, so probably the thing that, the biggest, the most above the waterline thing that Pam and I have done is developed this ministry called Reengage. It's helped a lot of people around the world and a lot of churches. I didn't want to do it. And so I was on a path to, I thought I was going to plant a church, be a missionary, or go back to seminary and teach, kind of get my PhD and then go teach. And those are the big three to me. Like if you're going to love Jesus and like really make your life count, those are the three you do. Everything else, nice try, right? So this angst of a 28-year-old. And so I come on, but I told Watermark, I love what's going on here. Can I? And they asked, well, basically, you mentioned Kyle. He said, hey, can you come on and just help us for a couple of years? I said, I'd love to. I mean, I love what God's doing here, but I'm going to go do one of those really important things. I come on, and about 3 weeks later, I become the marriage pastor. And so you might go, like, that sounds really fun. I thought really like God had smitten me with this. Like this was my Joseph in prison moment. Now, a lot of people were like, what a gift. I really thought this is so inconsequential. I'm going to waste my life, helping couples get along better. I had a kind of a funny stand-up bit that I developed with my wife. I was like, what are we doing? Okay. And the shift was not any results. It was me going, okay, I'm going to have to lead myself through this. And I started to think about what an opportunity I had been given. And I would say things like, healthy churches are made up of healthy marriages. So I care deeply about the church. So if I help marriages, I will help the church. And I care about, the church and the kingdom thriving. Well, couples who love each other have kids, or they love each other and love God. They have kids who have kids who have kids who have kids. So you talk about a generational impact. A sermon's a great thing, but man, you get a marriage right. It's going to be hard to imagine some type of impact that you could have on the world that would be different or better than helping one marriage at a time. Same work that I initially thought was like, God, what have I done? My theology got really crazy for a few minutes. Instead of going, okay, what's the why? How can I see this as an opportunity? And I will tell you, I wish I could tell you, or it was overnight. I had the best attitude in the world, and everyone's still talking about that term. They're not, but I know internally that was the day the clouds began to part.
Yeah.
And God gave me a gift in that moment that I could have just continued to chafe against, and none of that would have happened. But I found a why in there. So whatever it is that you're doing, like connect a why that's meaningful, that's bigger than just you, and you probably can then work hard. And so, yeah.
It's good. Oh my goodness. I want to learn all the things. I know there's so much more. We're so grateful for you, and I'm glad
friend.
Yeah, I'm glad that the girls get to hear from you as well. And maybe one day we'll bring Pam on.
That would be. It would be an upgrade.
Well, we can end with an anecdote. When I first got so we all had a race. Do you remember Hood to Coast?
I do. Yes. Have you talked about that before?
No.
Oh, dude, tell them about the race, and then whatever it is you want to tell them.
Well, no, I mean, there's nothing super spiritual here, anything crazy, but we a part of y'all's culture. I mean, like you always wanted to do this race, and then you like invited us to do it with you. It was so fun, and Colby and I were like, "Yes, let's do it." So
you were an immediate yes.
Immediate.
Like I wasn't done explaining it, and you said yes. Yes, that's who you are. Yeah.
And I was not necessarily a runner. Like I enjoy running. Colby definitely wasn't a runner. He's like CrossFit, bulky dude.
Yep.
Anyways, so we were like, this is gonna be so much fun, and we were like starting at the top of a mountain, and then you and your team,
Mount Hood in Oregon, running all the way to the coast. Yes, in relay fashion.
So much fun for 3 days. So you're sleeping in the van, you're eating whatever's there, and like it's so fun. And we're training for this race. We get to run with Pam, and work on your blisters and get all the things, and then I get pregnant for the first time
before the race.
Right before the race. So we go to this incredible thing that you guys have wanted to do for so long, like dreamed about, brought us in on. We're so excited to do this. And every stop, I'm puking. Yeah. I'm literally puking and stopping the van to get out and puke. I can only run one of my 3 legs and made the team so slow. You guys were so kind and let me cross the finish line. Like you would have thought, I mean, oh my goodness, it was so bad. But also I think back to that time and I'm like, how on earth? Like, yes, I am winding through the hills and like puking my brains out at every turn. Still there. Yeah. And cheering you guys on. But I'm like, how was everyone else okay with letting this puking girl be with you in a band for 3 days? Like, why didn't you guys kick me out of the camp?
We weren't chasing prize money, Laura. It was about the experience, and it was a good one, wasn't it? You know, and it was hard,
so
and it was you run your
so
first
hard.
one's everyone's hyped up, second one you're a little tired, third one you're sore and you're sweaty and you haven't slept and you run again. But
and it's the middle of the night.
In the middle of that,
you
but
know,
that
12 a.m. You're running another 5 miles.
I still can remember about 2 or 3 a.m. I'm in this Oregon farmland. You know, the stars are so bright, and it's just me and my breathing. And I'm out there with a headlamp. That's all I can see is my headlamp and the stars, and all I can hear is my breathing. And I was like, "This is amazing!" And then just to cheer for each other and get out and run with each other and come across. And you ran the last leg, didn't you?
I ran the last leg.
Yeah, you ran across.
You guys didn't let me go unsupervised in case I like passed out or something. So I ran it with one of the guys on our team. I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah.
He was a new friend and an older gentleman, and it was so fun.
But it was fun. It was fun to do, you know, something hard.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
You know, and that one didn't have any kind of eternal consequence, but to do the Lord's bidding or something of eternal significance with people you love, you know, that was 3 days. But man, if you can order your life around that, you're gonna really enjoy your life.
I love it. Keep going, you guys. Whatever hard work you're putting in, God sees you, even if nobody does.
Yeah.
And we are in a culture of influencer Christianity where you sometimes feel like you have to have the cameras on to have a purpose. And I know this is tongue in cheek because I'm sitting here with cameras and lights, and I didn't care. I didn't care about the cameras and lights. I'm here because I care about you. John's here because he cares about you. Mm-hmm. And keep going. Whatever that looks like for you, there are going to be people in heaven who you will never know their name. And they're going to have more crowns to lay at Jesus' feet than we'll know what to do with. And praise God for those people. If that's you, keep going. We love you guys. And John, thank you so much.
Thank you, friend.
We'll see y'all.
Awesome to be with you.
Yeah. We'll see y'all next time.